As the weather begins to warm and children spend more time outside, kids are now starting to play their favorite sports. In fact, every year in the United States, approximately 30 million children and adolescents participate in organized sports. But an increase in pediatric sporting events also brings an increase in pediatric sporting injuries. Joining us now is Providence's Kristen Filer to talk about ways to prevent you or your kids from getting injured from playing their favorite sport. What are some ways that we can help prevent those injuries?
Well, first and foremost, a lot of these injuries occur, about 60% of them occur during practice. So making sure that kids understand not only the rules of the game, and that's really important for little kids, understanding the rules and what they can and cannot do. But for older kids, the proper technique, the guidelines, how do you tackle? How do you slide into first? Are you doing it the correct way? Because you'll see a lot of kids come in and they say, well, I always do it this way. I always do it the way coach tells me, but this one time I did it a different way. And that's how they got injured. Another thing too, is to kind of do a pregame talk with your athlete and young kids too, where you make sure they understand that they need to stop and seek help by their coach or by you on the sidelines if they feel like something isn't quite right, if they're feeling a pain or just something doesn't feel right. They don't necessarily know what's going on, but something's kind of weird. Because these young athletes, especially adolescents, will push through the pain and keep playing, especially when they have the fans and their parents and their coaches pushing them to do it. They'll push through the pain. They won't tell you something's wrong. And that is when we see an injury, is when they are pushing through that, and it leads to a much more serious injury. You see a lot of overuse of these injuries. That's a really common injury, is when they're just overusing a muscle or a ligament or their joint. They're throwing too much, they're kicking too much. So which is another really good thing to really get kids to do cross-training sports. So you'll see a lot of kids that are doing 2 or 3 soccer teams, have them focus also on cross-training and getting them into other sports so that they're not overusing something. And then as a parent on the sideline, so back to kind of, pre-gaming with your kid, making sure they know the signs that something could be off and that they need to stop. But know as a parent on the sidelines, does their technique look a little weird? Are they limping when they're running? Are they running a little bit differently? Because pain will alter the way that your body moves. So are they looking a little different? Are they throwing differently? Are they rubbing their elbow during or after? Is something going on there where you can pull them out for a little bit and let them rest so that they're not overusing it and they're not causing a more serious injury? The other thing too is warming up. We always hear warm-ups are really good, but there's 2 types of warm-ups that kids should really be doing. They're called static and dynamic. Static warm-ups are where you just sit and you stretch a muscle, really great. But then also dynamic warm-ups are where you're doing, it's movement-based stretching. So you're moving and warming up, but you're also stretching muscles. So those are things like side shuffles or back pedaling or jumping jacks. All can be really good for not only stretching, but also warming up. And then making sure too, a lot of injuries will occur too when kids are dehydrated. So making sure that you know that your kid is, whether or not they're hydrated or not, are they experiencing symptoms like a headache? Are they heavy sweating? Are they feeling nauseous? Are they just feeling a little bit confused? That's when you need to know to pull them out and get them hydrated or get them into some shade.
Providence's Kristin Filer, thank you so much. Those are some very helpful tips for this come summer as well. Thank you.
Thank you.